What we got, that'd be a perch. That's a fish anyway. It's a net gain on the bait, which is really what today's trip is. Trying to do some long lining here. We got some warmer temperatures, but I'm not in a creek that has a whole heck of a lot in it. So this is the first stop today. So I got a fish. I ain't marking a lot in here. This is for whatever reason, it's kind of a community hole. Usually has some fish, but none out here so far except for that one. And he came on a down line. The rest of these lines are typical long line, and we'll talk more about that. Kind of suspended baits. I'll keep him in on here. We got a bad collection of minnows from the minnow man. A lot of them dying, including the ones they had in the tank. So we got jigs out on the long lines. Got a variety, everything from an 8 to a 64th. So one fish on the vertical line. We'll see if there's any more in here. Yes, hooked up. Got one finally back here. We'll see if it's a perch or a crappie. Getting into the top out of the other lines. That's what it looks like. It's one of the things, you long line and you got a bunch of lines out like this, you kind of need to get them to the top so you can get them in. He came on the heavier jig, which is deeper, 1/8 ounce jig. Decent looking little fish there. Not exactly a giant, but we'll take it. This is a little curly tail. It's at 1/8 ounce jig head. It's got the hole in it you can put the scent into. I don't have any scent in it. I just got it back pretty good ways. And again, that's 2 fish, the only 2 we've caught. And both of them have come deeper. So the outside rods, the big long ones you see, are kind of shallow. They're a 64 ounce jig. They're a little further up in the water column. We've got a 32nd and a 1/8 ounce. It kind of skipped over to 16th ounce range and just went deeper. So kind of is what it is. Curly tail, and then the live bait for the perch. So we ain't exactly killing them. But with that said, I ain't exactly marking a lot of fish in here either. This is not a place I'm going to be making another pass through by any means. I see a lot of boats leaving too. It's a bad sign. I'm getting pretty far back into the creek here. I am only in about 16 feet of water. I may go behind the bridge. Better judgment is telling me not to, just because water temperatures I don't think are high enough yet. But we'll see. It's showing about 59 degrees. So here's what it is. We'll drag a little bit further, see if I can stick one more. Kind of show you what the sonar looks like here, guys. I know people like to see the screen. This is a good time to do it. We're gonna make a little slow ride back to this bridge. Any of y'all that have ever fished Lake Wiley, you know about Seven Oaks, Catawba Creek, that's where this is at. It's kind of a community hole. And it's a good starting point to gauge what's going on. It doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna catch fish here, but you can get a good read. And you can see we got 60-degree water. Might be 1.5 degrees, 2 degrees warm, or showing warmer than it is. I think this thing reads a little bit warm. But anyway, it gives you a good ballpark. And you're gonna see, there's not a pile of fish in here. There was looked like a good school of bait up underneath the bridge, just so you're wondering, there's the bridge there. But there was a good school of bait underneath the bridge. A couple of fish around it, didn't catch anything. But normally, you should be marking some fish in through here with somewhat consistency to make it fishable. Not that you couldn't pick off some of these fish, but that's not really a good population of fish to be fishing. Now we're getting ready to go under the bridge here. You'll see it get kind of dark here, and there'll probably be a school of bait hiding here in the shade. Typically there is. Now typically there's a lot of fish sitting in here, just kind of staged up in the shade a little bit. And as you can see, there ain't a whole lot of anything laid up in here. Pretty bad, pretty bad. That's a pretty bad looking sonar screen. Not what you want to see as far as a fishable area, an area that you can put some time into and try to catch fish. You start seeing it this bare, probably need to go somewhere else. Now you may be asking, why am I fishing here? Well, part of the reason I'm fishing here is because typically this time of the year is when these fish move in here. But what have I said about catfish and everything else? You don't always go where they're supposed to be, and fish don't always go where you think they're at. So I'm gonna do the total opposite of where they should be. I'm going back to deep water and take a look there. Typically they should be out of that by now, this time of the year, but they're gonna do what they're gonna do. So we're gonna take a look out here, a little deeper water, and if we mark a bunch, we're gonna fish for them. Get one. Yep. A bite on this one again. This is the down rod with the baits all the way on the bottom. That would be a perch. We found the perch anyway. Better than nothing. It's maybe where the fish are. Again, typically those fish are up in the creeks by now, but we ain't marking a lot. Maybe it's just the wrong place. Who knows? Maybe it's all the way to the other end of the spectrum and they're already spawning. That would make no logical sense, but I don't think that's happening. I've seen some other guys out here who were spider rigging that were not having any luck. So you get this one baited up. I think this is a just one of those days. Could be time of day too. We do have a bright moon going on. Who knows? It's it is what it is. There's just not a lot in the upper water column that these jigs are hitting, but in that same breath, it's a great way to fish because you've got stuff, these long line jigs, and the way these things go out is the way I do it. Everybody does this different, and I just say that right away. I will make this pose, I will put this video out and tell you how I do it, and it'll be 50. Yeah, let me get this fish first. This one hit as soon as it hit. There's a few fish. They're sucking right onto the bottom though. I can see them on the screen. Nothing schooled up. That is another perch. Hey, at least we're getting some catfish bait in the boat. That was the other reason for coming out today, was for the bait bite, to get some bait. We always love bait. Yep. So, just that. Come back here, come back here, come back here, into the live well. There we go. But these lines, let me get another minnow on here. These lines are straight underneath the boat, all the way on the bottom. And I've only got one line out doing that. It's just this traditional double hook rig. It's the way you've seen me fish for crappie before, as I call it, crappie fishing for dummies, crappie fishing for dummies, whatever you want to call them. Let me get these back on the hook here. A very simple rig. It's a high-low rig, a sinker on the bottom. I promise you I'm going to make a video and show how to tie this rig. It's very simple, but a little sinker on the bottom and then two hooks, high and low. And I've got it on the bottom. I've only got one rod. I've got 7 rods in the water, and the rest of them are jigs. So what I do is, let me let that one sit. Boom, it's on the bottom. The 2 right here in front of me are 1/8-ounce jigs. They got little swimmy tails on them. Some of the Crappie magnet products, they're straight out the back. they're going to be the deepest. They're going to be the furthest down. I do those, they're closest to the boat line. They're going to be deeper in case the fish go deeper when the boat comes over. These long poles here, these 12 footers, they are the furthest out. They've got the smallest jig. I think I've got a 64th on those. And then these here are at a 32nd. Those are the ones that are closer in. Basically what happens is the lighter jig is going to be higher in the water column. The ones that are heavier are going to be deeper. There's a lot of variables that come into play on how deep those jigs are. One of them is what line you're using, the weight of the jig, and how fast the boat is going. Perfect world, you're using the exact same line on every one of the reels. And what I mean by that is if you're using 6-pound mono, you use it on all of them. I'm a bad boy. I'm not doing that right now. So my stuff's kind of all over the place. Today, it doesn't matter because I'm not getting hit on those things to begin with. So, or at least not a lot. So when it gets critical and important, these fish start to get an exact depth, knowing that stuff is very important. I troll around 1 mile an hour. You can go slower. Some people go faster. That boat speed controls where those jigs are too. The faster you go, the higher the jigs will be. The slower you go, the lower the jigs will be. A lot of times you'll slow down to make a turn and the inside jigs are going slower. They'll sink, they'll get hit. Or the outside ones start to go faster when you're turning. They come up and they get hit. That can give you some clues in what's going on. This is the first time I've tried this spring, and I have been fishing for fish deeper based on the water temperatures, time of year. There's a bite. Those fish should be up in those creeks, staged up, kind of into their pre-spawn stage. Now, with that said, that didn't work in 2 creeks today that I've rode into. Could it be happening in another one? Absolutely. But I also noticed there's a lot of birds sitting out here in this deeper area. So what I'm trying now are the flats between the old river channel and the creek mouths themselves, just to see if those fish really aren't interested in those creek mouths yet. It's a little bit of an experiment, a little bit of covering water. It's one of the things I say about fishing really for any kind of fish, and I haven't been out here fishing for crappie in about a week. So especially on this reservoir, we got one of my baits that was a good hit. Get another one. You kind of have to figure out what is going on. And one of the best friends, as I get this caught into the hand rope on the fish gripper, come on baby, come on. When all else fails, just pull it loose. One of the things is a good captain needs to have gas, because sometimes that's what it takes. You got to burn some gas to find some fish, and it's kind of what we're doing today. The good thing is once you find them, a lot of times you can stay on them for days. This time of the year is volatile, especially with the weather. You know, we're in a warm snap now. We've come out of some cold, cooler temperatures. You know, we think that, man, fish are just supposed to turn on overnight after a couple warm days. It really doesn't work that way. It takes a little bit, and you know, it just may not be to that point yet. So that's why I say you got to get out here, cover some water, fish some. And you know, this can happen with this type bite pretty much, this hit in there, anytime from like early March on. So, you know, it's going to vary a little bit depending on just how much, you know, what's going on with the weather, what's going on with the water, how much inflow, all that kind of stuff. So you got to stay a little versatile. You know, you got to stay hopping. I see birds over here. You got to keep an eye on things. Honestly, you kind of see what other fishermen are doing too. They'll give you some clues. Not necessarily where exactly to fish, but maybe the areas where fish are. So let's sit back, see if we can get one to bite now. That's a fish. That is a fish. That is a fish. Let's see what we got here. See what we got. That is a good perch. That is a good perch. Oh yeah, that's an eating size perch there. Heck yeah. If you could catch these things by the dozen. I fish for them as much as I would for crappie. That's a good eating size fish there. That one right there, you get you a box full of those, you got a meal. Good fish, good old white perch. Again, that is one that is coming on live bait straight underneath the boat. There's just not a lot high in the water column today, is what it comes down to. And that is just the nature of the beast. As far as the crappie bite, I don't know if there's more of those over toward the river channel or not. We're getting ready to find out because you can hear that wind blowing. I'm gonna make a pull over there as soon as I get this line untangled to see what the heck is going on there. Did we tie that one in or not? No, there we go. Oh, the joys. Baits and weights and stuff spinning everywhere. Like I said, I'm happy to catch some fish. We're just not doing it the way we want to do it. And as fishermen, that can be aggravating. My pipe back in my live well. Drain some water out of my live well. Yeah, as fishermen, that can be aggravating because you kind of want to do it the way you want to do it. But that's a very good perspective. I'm just happy to catch some. So I think what I'm going to do here is let the wind, well, we're kind of trolling into wind. It's going to run us toward the channel. I'm going to try making a pull to that and just see if maybe there's some fish around that river channel. You know, we've come across all this water out here. It's a lot of water covered, and we pick fish off, picking at them, but it's not crazy or on fire. So I got birds back over this way. You know, I don't know if there's stuff staged up out there in deeper water or not. Probably what, like I said, we'll go up into the wind, ease into the river channel, and then I'm gonna let the wind just burn us back across there, and we'll see what happens. We got a little mixed bag of stuff underneath us on the sonar unit. Let's see what we got. Double check the bait on this. There's a mixed bag of stuff down there. There's some bait. There's some small fish. Didn't eat that one. Back on bottom. Boom, he got hit as soon as he hit the bottom. That was easy. If it was only like that all the time. Like I said, there's some bait schools down there. I think there's some fish staged up feeding around them. This is another decent perch. He inhaled that one. My pliers here. My Catfish Pro pliers. Get them babies in there. Again, man, we're making up for the crappie with these, so it'll work. See if it happens again when I drop it. We're kind of out of them. There's one fish on the screen. This will hit him in the head. Let him float. Let him float on down to there. Got him. Take a second. Take a second. Like I said, they're not stacked up. There's just a few scattered fish. You kind of get away from some bait and you'll find one, and we know where the perch are anyway. Same double hook rig. These are not white bass. That conversation comes up every time people see these. These are different fish. This is a saltwater and freshwater fish, kind of like a striped bass. And I lost the bait. The white bass are totally freshwater, but I think they are related. So I don't think they're a true bass. Anyway, it gets complicated. I know that the white bass can crossbreed with the striper to get a hybrid. So I guess they got to be somewhat related. But yeah, white bass are totally freshwater, whereas the perch are a little more closely related to the striper in that it spends a lot of its life in saltwater, runs up into freshwater. So, and these are just landlocked fish. Most of them have been transported in here, and they prosper and do very well. I got something. That's probably a catfish. That's big, whatever it is. Well, I don't know. Let's see. Let's see. I hope I haven't. No, that's heavy. It's either a bigger fish, catfish, foul hooked, or it's a heck of a crappie, one of the two. My money's going to catfish. I have to nurse this one in. I've only got 6-pound line. Ooh, it's feeling foul hooked. It's coming in weird. Yeah, foul hook catfish. He is all kinds of wrapped up. This is a recipe to break a line right here. Slow the boat down. He's lassoed across the dorsal. If I was smart, I'd use a gripper or a net, but I'm not. Got him. Got him. Got him. All right. That was some superior angling skill right there. Get that hook out of him. Boom. Got some mud. Yes, sir. Got some mud. Chunk him. There you go. Well, it's official. I've completed the trifecta. I've caught a crappie. I've caught a perch. And I've caught a catfish. What else can a human being want in life than that? Maybe a striper. That ain't happening on this lake. This one's loaded up here. And we got us a pile of catfish bait. So life's good. Life's good. Let that bait drop back down. And where are we at? Yeah, kind of dropping into the river channel. There's a lot of arches on the bottom here. I don't know how many of them are catfish. We're gonna find out. Typically, the crappie are below the perch. The perch have been up. We're deeper in them now, so we'll kind of see. We'll see if they hit anything we got out here. Put a little more juice to the motor. There's a lot of arches in there. Deep arches. We'll see. Might have something right there. Yes, sir. Hook that. Hook that. It's over here pulling in some of the long line stuff because there's a pile of stuff deep. Decided I was going to focus on that. That's where they're hitting. That's where they're biting. And that is a, come on, tell me that's not a, it is. Channel catfish. Man, all we need is a flathead and we got the trifecta of catfish on this lake. Look at that. But yeah, kind of changing around the setup here a little bit. And poof, got a bite right there. What is it right here that's magical? I think I'm right on the edge of this river channel. But yeah, there's some stuff on the edge. There's some stuff in the deep water. not a lot up shallow. There's an undersized one right there. That might be the ticket. It's a little one, not what we're looking for. Get this back down. Maybe the magic combo here, we'll see. Just interesting to get hit like that really quick, back to back. And the only thing that's changed is where I'm at, and that's kind of on the channel. There's some stuff in here, that's for sure, but we've come across an area that's had a lot of fish, so that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to bite. But sometimes when you get these inactive fish, if you can get around structure, sometimes that's where they're holding up at. For whatever reason, they're holding up. So picking a couple, but yeah, I pulled in the long line stuff. That's obviously not going to work out here with everything as deep as it is. So change the game up, adapt, and catch the fish that are biting. Boom, there's something, hit that. Let's see what it is. This could be the combo right here, where I basically retied some of my long line gear to the crappie. Turned them into one suspended. That one is barely going to make it, and gonna definitely make catfish bait size. Oh, something hit the suspended bait. Let's see what it is. Can't tell if it's a catfish, a giant crappie, or a bass. That would be a good crappie. Boom. That's better action right there, guys. Catch me 20 of those. That's a good day. Good fish right there. Yep. That is a good one. That is a good one. Nice crappie. That one goes in the tank for sure. Heck yeah. Good one. Maybe that's the trick. Suspended. Boom. That's just a heavier weight rig sinker. Got it down right above where a bunch of these arches were showing up. Put the bait on there. That one hit it like a freight train, which is what you like to see. Back down there, see if there's some more. We're right back in that little hot zone where I caught those several a minute ago. See if I can see it on the sonar falling. Boom, about 20 feet deep. Might be a little too deep. Let's get a couple of cranks up off the bottom. There we go. We'll see if any of the other ones get hit. I mean, they're on the bottom. We're trolling up through here at a nice leisurely pace, about 0.7. The one's making total contact with the bottom just ain't produced. So I don't know. We'll see. Stand on that edge, see if we can hook one. And got one. Got one. Came up here onto a little ledge. Tried spot locking for a minute, that didn't work. Came up onto this little ledge and boom, found one. That was eaten. Boom, boom, might have a double. Might have a double. Throw him down for now. This could be the tie, this could be the ticket, mate. This is about where we got in that stuff earlier, and I think it's right at the top of a ledge here is where these fish are eating at. Yep. That one looks under. We'll let him go. I don't think he's legal. This one, on the other hand, is gonna make the cut. Yes, sir. Nice little crappie there. How long you think he is? I say 9 inches. Look at the mark. Yep, 9.5. He goes in the tank. Grab a couple more baits here. See, we can stick another one up in here. It's like they are hugged very tight to the top of that ledge, and you know, that can be tough fishing, especially, obviously it's a finicky bite. It can become very precision. For a better crappie fisherman than me, to be perfectly honest. I am not Mr. Precision, even though I have precision cast rods from Catch the Fever. That's what these are, by the way. Catch the Fever precision cast rods. It's their crappie rods. It's what I use for really all of my spinning tackle, fishing for perch, crappie, bluegill, any of the panfish size stuff. I'm gonna pull, actually, I'm up on the channel. There's a little cove here. There's a bunch of bait around. I'm getting hit for some reason, not sure why. It's just that one, it's like there's a little pocket, and you saw a while back we caught some boom boom and then poof, it went away. So I don't know, maybe they're right at the top of that channel ledge, just hanging out. It could be. This is as close as they're coming in. They're not making a creek run. They're running up into some of these little pockets here, and this is just where they're staging. So maybe this is where I need to troll around and mess around a little bit. Like I said, I'm picking at them, but it's not on fire. I think that's maybe, we got, I don't know, 4 or 5 keepers, thrown back 3 or 4. It's not on fire. A bunch of perch. Perch has been good, but not on fire with the crappie. But that's the way it goes, man. It is not always on fire and crazy, but it's one of those things, when you do find them, if you can stay on them, you can usually load the boat. Got him. Slow little pull up in here. We're gonna see if we got into the crappie or if we got into the perch. That would be a perch. Why did I say perch? Well, if you noticed earlier when we were really into these things, they were shallower, which is usually how this game's played. These things will live slightly shallower than the crappie do, for whatever reason. Usually I find these up above the crappie. So that's why, it's not always the case, but a lot of times if I start catching these, all of a sudden I'll try to get a slightly deeper water, and we have come shallower since we caught those last 2 crappie. So is that the case? I don't know, but a little something to keep in mind if you got white perch. I've seen somewhat of a similar pattern with white bass too. So I don't know. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a little bit of a turn. We're up into about 16 feet of water. And like I said, we fished a lot of 16, 17, 20 foot of water today. Didn't catch any crappie in it. I just don't think I'm not feeling they're up that shallow. So I'm gonna pull back out to that point, that little deeper stuff, and see if that'll work. Again, this is playing around a little bit, trying to figure out, you know, if they've made this transition, and then just figuring out where they're at. You know, we got wind blowing here that maybe let's push some of this bait up here. Don't know. A lot of variables, a lot of factors, a lot of stuff to play with. If we can ever crack the code, we'll be on them. But that's fishing, man. That is just the way fishing is. So